during practice sessions, regard thoughts, sensation, and feelings as leaves swirling in the wind as you walk under the clear blue sky of an autumn day. So the thoughts, feelings, sensations which come and go, you regard them as leaves swirling in the wind as you walk under the clear blue sky of an autumn day. You don't need to remember this. I will repeat this instruction. When you do not engage them, so do not engage them. So that means you neither try to capture the nice leaves, nor you try to get rid of the unpleasant leaves. For example, restlessness or tiredness. So you don't engage. You take your finger away. So usually kind of like this, oh, this, like this. So in here, we are invited to explore the practice of non-engagement, of non-interfering, of non-manipulating, of non-controlling. And when you notice that you do it, you come back to the breath, and you come back to this image of walking under a clear autumn sky. Now, this is not autumn, but kind of this morning, the clearness of this morning, and the restlessness or the tiredness or the distraction, they are like leaves. They have their own life, and you don't need to do anything with it. So it's practicing doing nothing. This is very difficult for us, to trust doing nothing. So when you don't engage them, so you leave them as they are, you become aware of a silence. A silence that is always there. You could also say space, a space which is always there. Even in your darkest moments. A silence that includes everything and cannot be fathomed. A silence that allows you to listen to your heart, your body, your mind in a way you did not know was possible. So in this kind of practice, we familiarize ourselves with that always accessible space, or that always accessible silence, or that always accessible presence. And we become so familiar with it, we start to recognize it in conducive environments. We become so familiar with it that we start to notice it's everywhere. Whatever you do, whatever you feel, whatever is happening, there's always the possibility to rely on presence or to rely on silence. That becomes our refuge. That's what we start to rely upon. So instead of relying upon the content of our experience, we rely upon the awareness within which this experience is happening. We rely upon that which is never changing. So instead of relaxing in this room after you have moved the furnitures and made everything nice, and you manipulate your environment to find some peace, here in this practice, we find the peace by relying on the space of the room, not on the furniture. So we relax into what is without needing to change what is. Otherwise, we will be part of a never-ending innovation project. Tossing around the furniture in this room for the rest of your of our life and never getting it right. Never ever getting it right. So you are a bit tired, like you're enough of tossing the furniture around and painting the room and changing the carpet and fumbling on the radiator that the temperature is right. Instead, you relax into the possibility of not doing anything. That is unconditioned peace. So let's play with that. So shifting from the head into the body, noticing what you bring into this moment. How's your belly, your shoulders? It could be that there is a sense immediately that you don't really want to be here, that you would like to have a different kind of experience, maybe fresher or whatever. And that's fine. So all of that is part of the leaves in the autumn sky. And then you can bring the sensations of the in and out breaths a bit into the foreground lightly, without effort. Just noticing, breathing into your experience as it is. Thoughts become less important. They are just leaves moving around. Mental images in a dialogue, just leaves moving around. There might be some unpleasant or pleasant sensations in the body. There's also leaves in the autumn cloud, in the autumn sky. And you let them dance, whatever they want to dance. And then returning, resting, softening the shoulder, the belly. So there might be also a sense of you, like an image of the body, or a sense of being localized. So that's also leaves in the autumn sky. There's the noise of the cars, leaves in the autumn sky. And there's trying to get somewhere, trying to do something. It's also leaves in the autumn sky. And turning and resting. Relaxing the grasping. And notice what your response is. Or what is it what you try to do, or what is appearing. It's all leaves in the autumn sky. Maybe you get frustrated or bored. Leaves in the autumn sky. Maybe you feel a relief, also a leaf in the autumn sky. So there is the flow of the sensations, thoughts, sounds, inner dialogue, mental images. Like clouds coming and going. The display of your karma. But then there is silence. There is space, pervading and underlying this dance of autumn leaves. And you listen to that with your whole body, with your heart. thoughts, feelings, sensations, sounds that come and go. We rely on that which remains. Peace, natural peace. It has nothing to do with the quality of what is happening. It's much bigger, much more radical than that. It's like disengaging a bit from the waves and diving into the depth of the ocean, which is always calm. Letting yourself dissolve back into your deepest self. So part of that is also the cessation of the words I and mine and me. It's just autumn leaves. So listen. Allow yourself to find a place of rest in the midst of your experience. And also let your heart guide you to peace. So this is a very different method than calming the mind through concentration or focus, or applying antidotes towards what is called disturbances or hindrances. And the instructions are very different towards the kind of more manipulating, controlling kinds of meditation. So it's good to be aware that there's like different. It's just a different technique. And for some, it has a wonderful potential, and for some, it's just not helpful. So it's a matter of trying out different instructions, not trying to argue what's the better one, or this one says this and this one says something completely different, but appreciating it as a different method to come to peace. So it is a non-manipulating, non-interfering practice. The Tibetans call this giving the wild mind of your giving the wild horse of your mind, a big pasture. So there's the wild horse of the mind, and if you use breathing methods, meditation methods, which belong to the controlling methods, then what you would try to do is to tame the horse, to kind of make it behave, and that's it has its values. This kind of practice, particularly initially when your mind is completely all over the place, to do a bit of controlling, manipulating practice. But then the other possibility is then at one point to just allow the horse to run. And if the horse has a big pasture, then what happens after a while, it just calms down by itself, and it starts to eat and falls asleep. So then it's peace. Yeah? Also, while it is jumping around, you can still enjoy and participate in the space of the pasture. So this is traditionally called the manipulating practice, shamatha with object, and the second, shamatha without object. So it's not like, so it's like a traditional way of practicing. So verse 3, which ends with this instruction, rely on silence, says, don't engage disturbances and emotional reactions gradually fade away. So that's a bit the practice I tried to explain before. Yeah? Emotional reactions like envy fades away. If you open, you give the space, you experience what is to be experienced fully, and you don't increase the inattention through trying to manipulate it and trying to make it into something else. So what you become aware of is not you, and it fades away by stepping out of the river of your experience. If we describe our experience as a river, so usually we are entangled in the river, we become the river, and we assume the perspective of the river. So we look at the world through our conditioning, and here now we have the option to go in meta, to go into the what is called the observer perspective. We step out of the river of our reactivity and of our conditioning and getting angry and being afraid to be late, to use your example. So we step out of it and we look at it. and we don't do anything. And then the experience is that what you become aware of in a loving way, with some wisdom, the non-static nature, emptiness, if that is possible, then that conditioning, that reactivity starts to lose its power. This is very difficult for us, obviously. It needs really some testing and some trust, because we are people who believe in doing things and being productive and improving things, and putting things in there and applying antidotes. And then to be told, hey, just relax, baby. It's fine. It's good enough. Just relax. That's difficult to trust. Don't engage distractions, and spiritual practice naturally grows. Don't engage distractions, and spiritual practice naturally grows. So distractions here would be, so some people spend years with kind of battling and being frustrated with the so-called distracted mind. It's like the whole meditation practice becomes this battlefield with your experience, and you feel dissatisfied all the time, and then you feel like, wow, I need to go to the cave, because this mind is like horrible. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be there. So in here, don't engage distractions is the practice of letting things come and go, stepping out of the river, and possibly ceasing what is happening, ceasing to call what is happening me or mine. Keep awareness clear and vivid, and confidence in the way arises. Rely on silence. So keep awareness clear and vivid. That means to step out of the river again and again into noticing. So it doesn't mean like, I can see that many of you want actually a siesta or need a siesta. I'm sorry about this. Maybe we should
finish after lunch.
Finish after lunch and have a group siesta, sleeping together.
Lie down and have
Lie down meditation.
A body scan.
I'm very good in putting people asleep. I'm an expert. I could make a lot of money with that.
You're putting them to sleep.
Imagine the sleep in close to the Zurich Hauptbahnhof.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, a bit of tea and a bit of Stefan Pende guiding meditation. So keep awareness clear and vivid. Doesn't mean that you are not tired anymore, or that there is no dullness anymore, because in the moment where you step out of being tired, you are, so that which notice that you are tired, that is clear and vivid always. You don't need to make it clear and vivid. Does that make sense, what I say? Maybe some of you had, quite a lot of people who do retreat, they have this experience that you can be either kind of identified and engaged and make a problem out of it that there's tiredness, or you can step out of it and be aware. And that which is aware is not tired. So you don't need to make your mind clear and vivid. It is already clear and vivid. And you start to know that it is clear and vivid. So this, if that is possible for you at one point to turn your meditation into this, trying to feel better journey, trying to feel more peaceful journey, if you turn it into a practice of being lovingly aware of what is happening, then it doesn't matter what is happening in your meditation. You become independent from good meditation and bad meditation. Oh, this was a bad meditation. Why was it a bad meditation? Yeah, I didn't feel good. I mean, that's not a quality which is needed. Were you aware that you were struggling all the time and your mind was all over the place? Yeah, I was completely aware. It was so annoying. Wow, that was a really great meditation. Were you aware that you were full of resistance and self-doubt? Yeah, I'm completely aware that there's doubt and resistance, and I'm completely aware that I don't want to meditate. Yeah, that's fantastic. There it is. That's mindfulness. Of course, we like to be mindful of peace, yeah, but it's really like a completely turning point in your practice. If you give up the hope of a better future, that you will get better at something in meditation, like better at calming down. Then every meditation becomes a good meditation. Except the one you don't do. That's not a good meditation. But as soon as you sit, as soon as you stand up to your experience, as soon as you connect with the intention to be here, with whatever arises, that's a good meditation. Even if that which arises sucks. And then you can be proud, or you can be confident as a practitioner. Not because you're better at focusing or something like that, but because you are willing to be present to your experience. So this relying on silence, this is really of course, initially we have this feeling that we need certain places, certain environments, certain groups, certain teachers to practice. Yeah? And yeah, so that's, as beginners, we can accept that. But of course, what we want to, if you are still there after 10 years, you have to think deeply. I mean, one can forgive the beginner's mistakes, yeah? So like say after 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, you can either torture yourself for the rest of your life, or you relax into that kind of loving awareness practice with whatever is arising, whatever is happening, wherever you are. Obviously, if you have a job, you take care of your husband and your child, so you have 2 children. I mean, that's a lot. Yeah. Then to kind of demand from yourself, you also on top of that need to have 1 hour of meditation practice with single-pointed concentration. I mean, it's crazy. But what we can do is we can we can familiarize ourselves with that kind of presence, that kind of silence, which we then can dip into or step back into while making breakfast, while taking care, while going to the office. So we make these little retreats every day, wherever we are, in the midst of the chaos. And that's what becomes our refuge.
Can I ask a
Yes.
question on that? I think you touched on this subject a few times. Sometimes my sense of duty towards other people gets away into my practice. I mean, normally on Saturday I look after my boyfriend's mother, and now I'm not there. And it's sometimes hard to keep the belief alive that this is the right thing to do. Sitting here on a and taking these time outs, I know how important they are, but sometimes I just don't believe in it anymore. Or I don't allow myself to believe it. Do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah. Do you now? So there was a bit of struggle in you about coming here. Well,
okay, normally I look after a sick person on Saturday.
Right.
Now I'm here, and I'm still feeling a
and
bit guilty.
Yeah. So it didn't change. There's still a bit of.
Always, yeah.
Always, yes. Yeah. It's a difficult question. This kind of what's the best to do? Yeah. So what's more beneficial? It's very difficult, particularly if we try to find an answer to this question in the rational mind, like arguing through it.
It's also self-care.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. That's like, I mean, these are like rational arguments. Yeah, so I could say that in that direction, it's so important, particularly as caregivers, to take care of ourselves. This is like so important, and in finding places where you are nourished, and which then help you to be more present with your child or with the person. So this is, I mean, those of you who work in so-called helping professions, or it's so important that is like one of the first point in our priority list. That part of serving someone is also, taking care of yourself. In the practice, if this would be a practice day where we would mainly meditate, and this would come up, this sense of duty, this kind of discomfort, am I doing the right thing? Then one would use the meditation practices to be with it, to explore it, to feel it. So where is this kind of this sense of duty? Where is it in my body? How does it feel? Does it change? Is it? And then you probably can easily see the connection with your psychological history. Yeah, so it's probably something which even the little girl already knew. So you can kind of trace it back in your psychological history. So that it is very much part of your conditioning. And then you would, rely on silence and step out of it and breathe into it, be with it, see its impermanence. So there could be quite some insight when you get to know that part, when you get to know that voice. and then there's another part of you, because you're also here. So there must be also a strong part in you which wants to flower, which wants to which a big certainty knows it's good to be here. And maybe that part is that part maybe would lose the argument with the other part, because the other part might be a bit quicker and a bit smarter, have better arguments. But that part in you knows really this is good. So I think it would be difficult to find something which could release you from this, like that, because it's a deep thing. I mean, not only for you. It's like this. Some people somehow from our culture we have we kind of believe that it is bad to look after ourselves. It's selfish. Don't be so egoistic. Yeah. So it's a difficult thing and worth to look at and be with it. And it could be helpful sometimes not to, as you did now, because you're here, not to listen to it. Making a value out of self-care. I mean, from my point of view, you made a good choice, because for me it is, from my point of view, your growth is the most beautiful gift you can give to the people around you, and so that's for me the healthy part, and I would always try to encourage that. Do you want to say something to that?
No.
No?
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes when there is a conflict like that, I think sometimes we can dare to be a bit more extreme in the direction where we usually don't go. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so if you are a person who is, very reliable, and you always respond to requests from your family, and you are there for them, and so on and so on. So, and that's how you usually act, and so and then there is the option to do something else. I think sometimes it's good to kind of jump into, even if it feels a bit scary, and that there will be bad feelings, like the guilt will kind of mess up the possibility to have a good day, but still it's sometimes good to explore the part of you which often doesn't get the space and the voice, and then you can find a better middle way between the two. So like, what would I usually do? Usually I would stay at home and take care. And I've done that now for 20 years. So, and it's really shit scary to say no. And I'm so scared of saying no. So that could, for a practitioner, could be a sign to say no. And if you're someone who is like, like really doing retreats and all the things, and you don't meet your family anymore, and parents are boring and stuff like that, then I would say, okay, say yes. Go to the birthday party of your mother. Forget the retreat. Take care of your mother. That's much more bodhisattva activity than doing this holy retreat and saying mantras for your mother. Bake her a cake. Don't sit in Nepal and and do Vajrasattva practice for your mother. No, go there. Watch television with her. I'm quoting teachings I got myself. What are you doing here? You have a mother at home?
These are your thoughts now.
Huh?
These are your thoughts.
No, these are teachings or advice I got from Tibetan teachers. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what's the time? So little, and then we have another break. That's 4. Yeah, we're good in time. Number 4. I think I have to come back. So that's another Tibetan trick. They never teach the text to the end. Never. They always leave something open so that they can continue. Yeah.
That's quite
And this is so we had the precious human life, and then we had a bit of renunciation, and now comes death, the contemplation of death, which is a very important ingredient of the initial preparation for the Bodhisattva training. Togmay Sangpo writes, "You will separate from long-time friends and relatives." So, as I said, we read this as a poem. So what that means is, like, we read it and then we listen to our response. Yeah, kind of we pause. So it's not like giving you an information. Yeah, you will separate from long-time friends and relatives. This is talking about you, and it is describing a fact. It's not like that we can avoid this, or like we are the one person who will not experience this. We will. It's just a matter of time, and some of us did already. Yeah. So in this way, when you read the text with your heart, it will move you. And that's the difference of reading a text to acquire some knowledge where you can stay detached, or you read a text and taking it in. And certainly this is a sentence which will bring up also difficult feelings, fear or sadness, or so you will separate from long-time friends and relatives. You will leave behind the wealth you work to build up. You will leave behind the wealth you work to build up. And this is quite, this is like acknowledging also, wow, how much of my life's energy goes into building up the wealth, building up the possession, building up the fame, building up the what is in the worldly senses called success. You will leave it behind. You will leave behind the wealth you work to build up. It's like, yeah. So this is one of the verses which is worth to read every day, because it can really like point to the question. So what is really important? How do I want to use my time? And so how do I want to use my time is something you need to work. You need to find yourself. So it's not, nobody else can tell you that. But what is really important for you? And are you living it? Are you expressing it? And why not? What holds you back? What holds you into what holds you into a kind of life which is suffocating. Well, it's suffocating. So we stay in emotionally, physically uncomfortable places, in relationships which doesn't work anymore, in jobs which don't work anymore. Why? What is holding us? What is holding you back? Yeah, fear. The guest, your consciousness, will move from the in your body. The guest, your consciousness, will move from the in your body. So also the body, yeah. So that's the cherished body, is something which you have to leave behind, which will be left behind. Give up your life. This is like boom. Give up your life. So here, give up your life means a life which is not aligned with what is really important to you. Give up that life. Give up the life which is not supporting you in what you really want to embody. Give up that life. This is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So contemplating death, there's many different poems in the Tibetan tradition, many reminders, the 9-point death meditation, and from the Lamrim tradition. It's so important. I don't think like a genuine spiritual passionate practice, so really like using the precious life for awakening, I don't think that's possible without reflecting on that. Because otherwise we will think we can do it tomorrow. We can go next time to the teaching. Next year when the teacher comes back. Because today I have more important things to do than waking up. So this is not meant to scare us, and this can happen because we live so much in denial of death. So this is learning how to reflect on death so that it becomes empowering. So that you suddenly see the possibility to break out of this self-created prison into a life which you want to live. And when you break out of your homeland, the kind of the functioning in the way you always functioned, So if you break out of that, there will be always fear. And so it's not possible without fear. To travel into the unknown, like kind of leaving a relationship or leaving a job, not knowing exactly what's next, being confronted with new situations, needing to learn new skills, that's always scary for us. I remember, there is probably, you know that also from your life, there's sometimes this life situations where someone says something and it really hits and it sticks and makes a change in your life. And one of them was talking many years ago with this guy, and he had quit his job and he started this little project somewhere in the mountains in Spain, and he had built this house and he wanted to start a retreat center there. And so he showed me his place and said, no, it was something else. And then I said to him, wow, this must have been so difficult, where you're not very afraid to do this. And then he said, yes, I was very afraid, but if I listen to my fears, my life becomes smaller. And this was like, there I could see it. So for a fledgling bodhisattva, when you have to make a decision, there could be a part of this process could be to ask yourself, what is it what I'm afraid of? So I'm a bit more afraid to kind of, do this project. So it seems to be a little big. I don't feel ready for it, and I'm afraid I hold back. So for fledgling bodhisattva, that fear could be actually a sign of, hey, do it, instead of keeping you back. So again, this sentence, which is not like something we can follow all the time, of Machiklaten, go to the places which scare you. So, this is like living a bit on the edge. Not too much, but you go towards, you do things like, you publish the poem. You go out there, you show yourself, you do your song, and you're afraid, and everyone doing it is afraid. That fear is part of we can't avoid it. It's not like you come to this place, now I start to sing and it is fantastic, and if you start to sing, you will be afraid because you show up. Give up your life. That's scary. And why? Because you have a gift, you want to shine, and you don't know how long you can do it. You don't know if next month, when you think that your poem is good enough to be published, that you're still around. So knowing that we're going to die, you are going to die, everyone here. One of us will be the first. So we don't know who. It will be quite soon. Some of us are over it's quite young people here. But I'm 55. I mean, we are always close to the end, but it's getting serious in my case. I mean, I don't have 55 years more.
How do you?
Yeah, one can always hope. Yeah,
Okay, 80 years old.
yeah, then have 30 years more. And no, the last 55 years, they went like this. I mean, I could go back to school tomorrow. It would feel like, doesn't feel like 50 years ago. So remembering that, and then every day, and then, okay, so what is important today? What is important now? And if I would truly love myself, if I truly, truly would love myself, and I would truly rely on Buddha nature, would I do what I do? If I would truly take care of myself, would I do what I do? And if not, why? Why not? Okay, so let's have a little break, and then I will lead a bit of reflection on death. So towards the end of the day, to scare you a little, so that you don't leave here with good feelings.
And if they don't get enough, we do have a whole weekend on that in February.
Yes, that's good. So I will lead a short contemplation on death. And there's in the Lamrim literature, there's what is called the 9-point death meditation. So that's like a bit of an outline how we could reflect on this. And it has 3 headings. The first is death is certain. The second is the time of death is uncertain. So for sure we will die. And second, we don't know when. And the third inquiry is, so at the time of death, what is going to help you really? What is a safe refuge at the time of death? What do you want to turn to? So these are the 3 reflections. The other option we have, we are not going to do it now, is that the meditation on the death process. So you are imagining to die, and you are guided through the different experiences. So that's a different kind of meditation connected with that topic. So as before, when I explained about analytical meditation, so we use images and reasonings to come to an epiphany, like, so to have an insight, possibly an insight which has some effect, at least for today. And then reminding us, with the help of this analytical meditation or with the help of a poem, to remind us on a daily basis. This is combined and is based on the experience of the precious human life. So that's first. First we connect with how precious it is and the potential we have, and that life can be meaningful or is meaningful. And then the reflection on death brings some urgency into this. So we have this precious human boat, the fully equipped boat, and we have the opportunity to make this journey now, and we don't know how long we have this opportunity. So it makes us shifting the priorities in our life, and making us maybe a little bit more brave to individuate, to embody what we want to embody, what we want to share. So let's do this, starting by shifting again, taking a moment of reconnecting with your inner life and sliding back to the body, noticing what kind of energy you bring with you into this moment, and softening the body, and the belly and the shoulders, noticing the flow of the in and out breath. Just a quiet moment with yourself. Thoughts become less important. And throughout the reflections, we return to the breath, or we stay in contact with the body so that we can feel. Well, the first point is death is certain. Your death is certain. Everyone in this room will die. You will die. There's no exception. So you allow this thought or this insight to drop in. Health or youth is no protection. Children die before their parents. Young people die before old people. Wealth is no protection. You can't hide anywhere. Can't build a castle around you. Try to escape death. Spiritual practice is no protection. You can say mantras and do yoga. You will still die. You can eat all the right supplements. You can't protect yourself from death. The Buddha died, Jesus died. Bill Gates will die. Being involved in an important project is no protection. There's many unfinished movies and novels and buildings. With each day, with each hour, we approaching death. Each moment, each meditation, each meal, coming closer to death. knowing that you're going to die, what is important for you? So the second reflection is the time of death is uncertain. There's many causes for death. Even the things who are supposed to keep us alive can be causes for death. Our life is very fragile. People die in their homes, in their bath tube. They slip. So death can happen at any moment, everywhere. There's no safe place. The time of death is uncertain. It can happen today, tomorrow, next year, you don't know. There might be a sense that you have time, that you can do things later. But you don't know. Maybe you are not on the plane you already booked next month. So death is certain, the time of death is uncertain. Soon all the things which seem to be super important today are irrelevant. Death is certain, the time of death is uncertain. What is your song? Your poem? What do you want to live for? And what holds you back? So you bring your awareness into your body. What is important? Today, tomorrow. Having a fully equipped boat just sitting there. The third reflection is, what do you want to turn to at the time of death? You can't rely on your friends, you can't rely on your possessions, you can't even rely on this body, you can't rely on your knowledge, you can't rely on all the books you read. All that will slip through your fingers. What is your plan? Death is certain, the time of death is uncertain. What is your refuge? So death is coming and the time of death is uncertain. What does that do with this moment of aliveness, of breathing, of being kind? Hearing and seeing, being aware, being alive. The next breath, the next experience. Sometimes it is enough just to be alive and know it. Just feel aliveness, presence. Being who you are. So that's something, there's a few aspects to this, but one is what I said in the meditation, to kind of have a plan. So what's your plan? And it needs to be something really genuine. So you can't ask someone else, what is my plan? because it needs to be something really where you feel that's something I want to turn to, that I have the intention to be the last movements of this conceptual mind. And maybe you don't want to have the last movements of your conceptual mind to be, oh shit. But instead, remembering the Dalai Lama or connecting with the experience of love, or something which you can effortlessly move into. And then, of course, one needs then to establish that, like do it again and again, so that in the moment when it happens, that out of habit you remember. And you can check up a little, in situations where you are challenged, where you lose things. So where's your mind going? So if our way to, in a difficult emotional situation, the way leads to the fridge. It could be just a bit of boredom or a bit of restlessness, and there off we go to the fridge. That's not a safe refuge. It's a temporary relief. So right there could be a moment where you pause and you feel, okay, so how can I handle this at least for 5 minutes in a different way, and then go to the fridge. And then also, practicing in that way and exploring this, you start to develop this confidence that you are able to be with any human experience, no matter what it is. Even death would be something you're confident in to be with. So are there any questions? We have a bit of time left. Tomorrow, do we have until what time? 5. 5 also. Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
You said like we can't rely on anything. Is the only thing we can rely on our practice? Then.
Yes, so that's like, this point is also sometimes called the only thing you can rely on is practice. But I like to sometimes put this more into a question, more into inquiry. So not saying, okay, the only thing you can rely on is practice, but inviting into this inquiry. So what can you rely upon? Is there something you can rely upon? And what could that be for you? So that opens that field of looking and making this journey of this question. Is there anything we can rely upon? Something we can return to? Something which is available in any moment, no matter how far we are in our practice. Something very simple. So is there something? think the answers, they can be quite different. But as I said in the beginning, probably for most people it has something to do with love.
Love.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think there is something, I mean, not love in the sense that we know what it is, more like love as a mystery. So what is it, what is really important? I mean, what is important for people? Yeah, so what is it, what is it, for example, what people regret? And I think when we dig deep, and I mean, this is also based on research, hospice research and things like that, and also my own experience with supporting people in this process. It's always questions around love. Did I love? There is something I didn't forgive, or I should have said this, or why did I hold back this? Something.
It's like regrets. Thinking through this filled with regrets, you find people tend to go through.
Regrets that's one of the obstacles. Yeah, like feeling you didn't, a sense that you didn't live up to what you didn't express.
Didn't quite make the grade for yourself, Didn't quite make the grade for yourself.
A grade?
You didn't live up to your
expectations. Yes, like you have a sense of unlived life.
It's not my daily experience, God. Help. I was going to have an awful death.
So what?
When to laugh about this? No.
So
it might be funny. I might have a funny death.
Yeah. Yes, but.
Sorry, I haven't slept very much last night. So I was working, so apologies.
No, it's good.
Making too much sense.
The way you respond to what is happening is something we can change. So let's say you have a strong habit of judgment and being uncomfortable with difficult feelings. So that's a habit. We have cultivated that. So what habits, processes do you want to establish in your mind which could be allies or help in the process of letting go? For example, one really helpful thing in this process of sickness and death is being able to be with difficult experiences. How do you establish? You could say, yeah, I could have a death like this, but the way you handle your experience is something you can work on. So if you have, for example, if you have a big crisis because you have a headache and you can't handle it, then that's a good place to start. So how can I change my attitudes or my way to relate to my experience so that that the experience of sickness becomes something which doesn't disconnect me from love.
I find this word love a bit difficult.
Mm.
I do.
Yeah, that's why I use it.
I do.
I consciously.
The Greeks had the word love. There's lots of different words for it, but
Yes.
we don't. I have to love myself. That's quite hard.
Yeah, so
I
that.
don't like myself
Yeah,
quite a lot of the
yeah.
time.
So that's a good example. So you notice you don't like yourself.
Say that. No, I'm only joking, you know.
No, but that's a very common sense in Western people. Yeah, so that is a habit. It doesn't need to be like that. So now, if you want to, if you want to prepare yourself for not only death but like life, then one can consciously establish habits of self-compassion. And then that self-compassion, that developed self-compassion, which we need to practice for. It's not chance. It's not like, oh yeah, this person doesn't like herself and she likes herself. This is a conditioning where we can change that. So in that way, saying only practice can help you, one can understand this sentence, because if you start to cultivate self-compassion today, which will make your life more pleasant, but it will be also available to you at the time of death. That will be an ally. Whereas not forgiving, being self-righteous, being judgmental, these are processes which we established and we cultivate, and they are not allies, neither in sickness nor in death.
We think they are. That's the weird thing about psychology. It's all part of this delusion. Yeah.
The other aspect of, or the importance of looking into death and the death process, and is also we acquire knowledge or experience to support others who are dying. It's very important, because we will all die for sure, but we also will all be around, relatives or friends who are dying. And then having really already dived into this and, mentally prepared ourselves and asking this kind of questions we ask now, that will really support us to be of help. So we have the intention to be the one in the family who is not freaking out. And who can navigate this territory, because we have contemplated it and we have accepted it, and we have not kind of denied it, like, I don't want to think about this. And then it happens, and it happens to all of us. So we are more comfortable with the territory. So, weekend on death and dying, or
6 and 7 with Lausanne Palma.
with?
Lausanne Palma.
Who's that?
Lausanne from Bern.
Okay,
Rita.
yeah, right, Rita. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's maybe not the most sexy topic, yeah. Like, yeah, I want to have a weekend on death, but it's one of the really important knowledge
8 and 9.
to acquire, because we are going, I know all of us, we will be there. In these situations. And then it's a bit too late to get the book on how to.
So you mean to say that when we acquire this self-compassion and that comes, then it doesn't matter if we are alone in the room, because I think that's quite sad, or maybe this is just my point of view, when somebody dies alone in the room.
Yeah, so that's when you look into supporting others, you look also into the conditions, how to create conditions to facilitate a more peaceful death, and that would be like part of the this inquiry. So yes, the death. The conditions. When we can influence them, of course, that's good to have some ideas about that also. But in the death process, there will be this moment where all of that doesn't matter anymore. So there can be all your friends around you, but the conceptual mind breaks down, so you will not have even the idea of friend, because it's so I want to have my friends around me. Yeah, that's good in the first part of the journey, but at one point you are left alone, and so people, you can't. This is a journey you have to do alone, and more you rely and can rely on I would say loving awareness, safer you are. Easier it is to let go. Yeah, to let go. Less you start to identify with the relative condition level of what you think you are, and more you rely on that which is bigger than you, less difficulties you will have to breathe out.
And if somebody can't let go, like has difficulties, then I mean, you were not there, so you can't tell me, right? But those who are the opposite.
Yeah, so there it is. There this other thing comes into that if you yourself have this trust, then just your presence in that room and being there with that person has an effect. So if I have a refuge, then I can, even on a non-verbal level, I can share that just through my touch, through my presence, and that's that and then there's, as long as a person is conscious still and still capable of the rational mind, then of course you can work with that depending on the belief system of that person, or so there's there's a lot of experience within Buddhist hospice work about creating conditions and how you can support a person. But basically, the essence of that is loving awareness. So, and here loving awareness to your own experience, because you will have difficult feelings being in that room, but also then having the capacity to be lovingly aware of what is happening for the other person. It's not wiping you out. It's not throwing you out of balance. And then something in you will know what to say or do out of that space. We have that capacity of resonating with another person if we can let go of our belief systems, and so there's. I would just trust that.
So, well, I've heard it that some old people, they say they want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And those, I think it's quite easy because they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They've had enough, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They just like to go, and they see probably more happiness on the other side. And,
yeah, so that's I mean, some Christians, it's amazing how they can die. It's just like, I'm going to God.
Yeah, they said, well, now it's time. And they know somehow. I don't know how they know these people that it's time and they want to die and they die. That's it. Yeah.
Well, here they can book an appointment with an exit, can't they? I know 2 old ladies that did that.
Not those ones. No, this is not what I mean. They know, how do you call that?
Assisted suicide.
Injection.
My grandmother's mother said that. My grandmother's mother lived long, and they all married young, so I get to spend time with her, and she was ready to go.
And they say this
without religion. Yeah, she said it.
They will.
So this ready to go. How can we establish that in us? So your grandmother could do it. So what is it? So and then to see, okay, how can I make that part of me? How can I walk in the footsteps of my grandmother? What was it? What was her refuge? And then you train in meditation. It's not. There is, of course, an element also of grace, and we can't control it. But there is also an element of you can establish processes which helped your grandmother or some other role model you have, and bring them into your being. It's not by chance, like so you just allow your mind to go all over the place. So we can, through meditation, through spiritual practice, we can change this complex processes which are happening all the time, and we want to change them into a wholesome direction. And if there's something in your grandmother which you find inspiring, something where you could see, wow, she could really forgive and let go. So what was it? What made it possible for her? And how can I bring that into my being? How can I bring my grandmother into my being? How can I bring the Dalai Lama into my being? Good luck. We will all die successfully, so there's no stress. We will not be late for our death. Yeah? So it will be fine. Yeah? So it will be fine. We don't need to worry, because in the end, once all this stuff just dissolves, then we will be fine. Love will win. Love will prevail.
What What are you talking about?
Here, they might try and take my order.
It's still good.
Like that.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.